Well, now I'd like to turn to Martin Breckfield, MMR, for his building of, I think, a caboose, but it could be a maintenance of way car, or it could be something else. I'll leave that up to Martin to share with us.
Thanks, Jim. It's an adventure, as always, isn't it?
Yes. By the way, I do want to say to everybody how much I thank Martin Breckfield for including the next shows in the O-Scale magazine that he is the editor of for White River Productions. I really do appreciate you doing that, Martin. I hope it'll benefit your readers.
I hope it'll work both ways. If we're lucky, that's what's going to happen.
Well, I look forward to it. Thank you so much for your help in promoting the program.
Yep. Well, we're set for the rest of the year on that. There's not too many changes between now and then. Anywho, so this is part one. It's an old kit. It's not going to be a maintenance away car, despite the fact I literally just finished building one yesterday. Putting together a set of slides just isn't that fast. And I don't have much to say about that car because I didn't take that many photos of it. So it's one of those ones where I jumped on it and ran through it at warp speed and looked back at it and said, how did I build that anyhow? I don't know. So explaining how I did it to others is equally impossible. So we're going to build a old kit, a train craft kit, another train craft caboose. And it was in a train craft box. It had a number on the end of it. It didn't say much else other than off-center cupola on the end of the box. Four-wheel caboose. Not very informative, but it comes with a nice scale drawing. This is plan number 3. God knows what plans 1 and 2 were, and I don't want to know about plan 9 because it's probably coming from outer space later. But it shows a nice off-center cupola, just as the box advertised, which is hopeful. The box is pretty tired. The box is older than I am, so it looks as worn down as me, if not worse. So I didn't take a picture of it. It's bad enough you have to see me. So there's your instructions. It's kind of limited, but it's not a complicated kit, really, in many ways. Proper way of sanding roof edges. So there must be an improper way as well. So there's some interesting things here, all the details, cupola, instructions, how to put the body together, how to put your steps on, assembling the trucks. And it's guaranteed to be free of defective parts or emissions. Really? Well, we'll find. That's plan number 4. Well, it's worth a read, but generally, generally instructions with me, I usually end up underneath in the bottom of the parrot cage later if I had a parrot. But sometimes you just build it as you feel it needs to be built. It's pretty obvious. How many ways can you put this together and make it come out wrong? So what's in the box? Well, we've got sides with windows already punched out. They're punched, they're not laser cut. 1940, late 40s, early 50s, they weren't doing laser cutting. So those were actually punched out. That's poplar, about a 16th inch plywood, 3-ply plywood. It's really stamped. It's not so much scribed or milled. It's which is actually kind of nice because the scribe stuff that you buy or modern stuff is actually too deep, too exaggerated. So this is actually kind of shallow, which actually looks better. You've got a roof, a floor, some end blocks, some of these pieces over here. Wait a minute. Offset cupola. Wait a minute. We got the windows in the middle here, one at each end. And there's a smokestack. Well, that would work for a offset, but the sides don't match. So let's back up. Yeah, we got the wrong sides. That's going to make this interesting. At least it doesn't match the pictures. So, you know, okay, fine. So here are your ends. There's a nice little bit of milled out piece here that drops right into these slots with just a wee bit of sanding. It doesn't have portholes on the end. There's just a drilled out hole that lines up with the end door casting. It's a lot easier to drill a hole than carve a square one out. The milling of the roof, just a wee bit rough. We've got to sand that just a little bit, but you know, it's on the underside. Are you really going to look at it? Well, you know it's there. You probably want to smooth it down a little bit. A few minutes with a sanding block, that takes care of that. It's not a big deal. So, you know, let's put these pieces together. Okay, we got white metal castings. We have doors. Well, door at each end. We've got 4 steps. We've got 4 windows. Well, white metal, mainly lead. You know, don't eat them. You know, even if Uber delivers it, don't eat it. You need a rough and a fine file. Comes off pretty clean. You got another bag of parts. You got a brake casting. You got some ladders. You got some end railings, which is nice. And I've got an interesting, I've got some curves, pre-curved. We got a smokestack. That's useful. Lots of nails. We're not going to use very many of those nails, if any. When I save them all in every kit that comes with all these nails in it, I actually save them in a little vial and throw them up on a shelf. And, you know, every now and then when I need a real small wire nail or a real small box nail, I actually have what I need. So, you know, don't throw these away. They actually have value. Yeah, and the leftovers in the rest of the box. Well, we have some end roof walk. We've got some roof walk that's not particularly square or cut, evenly cut. Some end platform pieces. There's one of them. There's the other one. A piece of wire. Wow, there's excitement. We got a piece of wire, which isn't straight, it's curved. So we'll probably end up having to straighten it. Or we're going to toss it and throw it and replace it with some straight wire. Okay, what don't we have? We don't have a cupola. It's going to make it very interesting. And you can't go back to the company because they claim they're going to replace all the emissions, but we're a few decades out of date on the warranty and guarantee on that, I'm sure. We don't have any trucks either. So, or pedestal trucks, even the pedestal platforms. But so this is going to get a little bit of an adventure. So this becomes an exercise of what happens when you buy a vintage kit, thinking that it's all there. You got it for $5-10. Figuring, wow, how much trouble could I be in? What could possibly go wrong? Well, now you have to fix things or do without them. Gets to be a bit of an adventure. So the easy part, let's put these 4 parts together. And you just drop, like I said, they just slide right into the slot. That tells you where the ends go. It's very nice. You don't have to hunt and peck and measure. It's prefabbed for you in that regard. The roof drops in between, some carpenter's glue. I'd like to put some extra blocks in, some extra bracing, just for good measure and to make sure it stays square and doesn't wobble around in that slot. But that takes care of building a box. And while we have it open, I went underneath my workbench and found a little bit of 1/3 of an inch sheet lead. It adds a little bit of weight to a car, as you might imagine. But if you're going to add weight, now's the time to do it while it's open and you can get inside and it's available. And that just goes down with some goo and some medium CA. And that's not coming out and not coming loose. It'll stay there longer than I'll have the car. Okay, the ends. So we had these end pieces. That's what those small pieces of scribe pieces were. This end plus that end plus the door casting didn't quite fill the gap. Well, you have to fill the gap. no big deal. You go get a piece of scrap wood out of the box, fill the gap, then match the thickness of the scribe siding. And I added these little pieces on each side of the door, a little bit of trim, little HO scale 2x8 on each side of the casting. Just glue that up and then sand it smooth to the edge, and that takes care of this end and the other end. The other end actually is very close. I think it took a small piece of filler. But, things are missing. Okay, not a problem. Don't worry about it. Just fill it in with something else and keep going. It's not the end of the world if something's missing. I mean, well, at least it hasn't been shown to me yet to be the end of the world. I'll let you know when that happens. Okay, we got a hole in the middle for the smokestack. Now we got to make some decisions. To cupola or not to cupola. Apologies to Mr. Shakespeare. And further on, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. But this isn't a big problem. So we can either we can do without the cupola entirely. We could just build a little four-wheel bobber without a cupola. There were such things. Just fill the hole in with a piece of dowel, sand it smooth, keep on going. Or we can go find a cupola. And I'm going to stop there leave you hanging with In Search of a Cupola. And poor Yorick will be sent out to resolve the cupola quandary. We'll add the sides, the ends, the underbody, and we'll figure out what we're going to do about a cupola next week. And if there's any questions other than about the cupola, now's the time to ask.
Anybody have any questions for Martin, or did he cover everything except that one little item?
Yeah, it's pretty insignificant.
Thanks so much, Martin. I really do appreciate it.
Yep, we'll see it. See you next week, boys.